Do you want to speak a language but you can't stop overthinking when you're doing it? You may have anxieties popping up into your brain like, what if I say this wrong? What if I use the wrong word? What if they're laughing at me? What if I'm not fluent enough and they're bored? And all these different things. If you're trying to speak a foreign language with what I like to call a loud brain, then keep watching, because I'm about to share with you 7 different tips, including a bunch of resources that'll help you with this. If you're new here, hi! My name is Jamie, I'm a language coach, and my specialty is helping online language learners stick to the process long-term and really love language learning. So if that sounds like you, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video all about language learning every Wednesday. The first tip I have for you for speaking a foreign language with a loud brain is to respond to what it is that your brain is yelling at you about, basically. So for example, if you are really scared that you're not going to be pronouncing correctly or that you're going to be made fun of for your accent or things like that, work on your pronunciation. If you're spending too much time conjugating in your head and you're super worried what people think of you when you're like sitting there and conjugating in your head, work on your conjugations. Practice these skills until they are absolutely no-brainers and you don't have to think about them anymore. Practice them until they become totally natural to you. I've absolutely been there with my past tense in Spanish, and every single time a conversation about something that happened in the past popped up, I would just kind of freeze up and I started second guessing every single thing. And then I worked on my past tense and I worked on my preterite and my imperfect tenses until I got more confident in them. And even though they're still not perfect and they might never be perfect, I got to a point where I stopped feeling really insecure about it. The resource that really helped me with that personally was Closemaster. It was really helpful for getting the conjugations practiced in my brain with context. And Closemaster is available in a ton of different languages. Link below in the description for my review of Closemaster. I can highly recommend it for intermediate learners and up. The second tip I have for you to quiet that loud brain when you're trying to speak a foreign language is to practice having conversations with yourself. And by this, I don't necessarily mean walking around your house and just like saying things out loud, which you totally can, but there are other options. For example, there are chat bots where basically you can hold your phone up, have a conversation with the robot, and this can help you build your confidence in your ability to not only understand the conversation, but also your ability to say the words. Once you get more confident in your practice and your experience with having conversations with yourself or with a robot, with a piece of technology, whatever, then it can really help with that anxiety when it comes to having actual conversations with real humans. If you've already practiced it in a very low stress, low pressure setting, then it'll be much easier to actually perform in a higher pressure situation. So like with people. For example, UTalk is a great app that's available in like a zillion different languages, and it has like shadowing capabilities, so you can say the word and record yourself saying the word and compare it. And there's a bunch of activities with speaking involved, and it can be really helpful. Again, link below in the description for my review of UTalk. Tip number 3, this might be a familiar tactic if you experience anxiety in other places in your life. Think about what it is that you're afraid of happening. Follow that line of logic. So for example, if you are really terrified of using the wrong word, that can be a really scary concept for some people. So think about it. Let's say you're in a conversation and you say the wrong word. What's gonna happen? Think about it. Is the world gonna end? No. At the very most, you might be a little bit embarrassed. Think about what it is that your brain is like assuming is going to happen. Think about what your brain is preparing to happen. And it's probably never gonna happen. Once you understand that and once you follow that thought process through, it can be much easier to differentiate between what is really concerning and what is just your brain flipping out because you're trying something new. This can be something that you just do in your head right now. You could journal about it, you could have a conversation with somebody, however you like to process these kinds of things. That tip is a nice segue to my next tip, which is to share your anxiety with a conversation partner, a language tutor, or whoever it is that you're talking to, whoever it is that you are practicing speaking with. So for example, after you've sat with your fear and you've realized that you are really afraid of pronouncing a specific sound wrong because it's an unfamiliar sound for your mouth, share that with your partner. When you are talking to somebody on Tandem or HelloTalk, which are free language exchange apps, let them know via text before you have an actual conversation, like with your mouths, that you are afraid of that particular thing. You're really, really self-conscious and insecure about making that sound. So let them know, have them encourage you, and then that way it'll be easier once you are having a conversation, you come across that sound or that word or whatever it is, they can be really gracious with you and patient with you, and you can understand that, you know, they are open to you and they're not going to judge you, they're not going to criticize you, that they are helping to create a safe space for you to make mistakes like that. That little bit of communication can really go a really long way. What are you afraid of when it comes to speaking a foreign language? Personally, I'm really afraid of just saying things wrong and that like just imperfection thing, even though when I have conversations with other people and I can tell that they're not perfect, I don't judge them. My next tip is to start with a paid tutor. Now, this is really important to understand that when you're working with a paid tutor, yes, they have their own curriculum and they'll help you through, you know, a specific way of teaching the language. But if you make absolutely clear that what you need is somebody to make you feel comfortable making mistakes and, you know, saying specific things or whatever it is that you're afraid of, if you communicate that, just like with your language exchange partners, communicating that with your paid tutor can be even more helpful. Why? Language tutors are literally paid to sit there while you stumble through your words, butcher pronunciation, use the wrong gender, or, you know, just sit there and be confused and frustrated and just work through it. Not only are they literally paid to do that, but they are used to it. They are accustomed to it. If you go on italki and you find a paid language teacher and you say, hey, I'm really struggling with just saying things and I get really backed up and my mind just goes blank and I get really frustrated and really self-conscious and really anxious and I need somebody to help me get past this so I can build more confidence in my ability to speak, then a good language teacher will help you with that. They'll be able to help guide you through a conversation in a way that's really beneficial and gentle and slow for you. And it's their job, so don't feel guilty about it, especially if you've communicated this before actually meeting with them. My next tip is a mindset shift. Remember that every single person who has ever learned a foreign language has been exactly where you are right now. Even if you don't see it very much, it is definitely there. One thing that can be really helpful in this situation is to go to the 30-day speaking challenge, where you have people who are spending every day for 30 days speaking their target language. Some are beginners, some are intermediate, some are advanced. It really doesn't matter. But what you can do is you can see how people are struggling and how people are using the wrong words and how people aren't completely confident in their ability to speak. This can be a really helpful way to remember that you're not alone. In fact, you're in the majority, the silent majority. Everybody who learns languages struggles with this. You are not alone. You'd be surprised by how supportive other people are. I mean, I'm surprised every day. My next tip for speaking a foreign language with a loud brain is to join a challenge like the Fluent in 3 Months challenge. The point of this particular challenge is that every single day you're working on your language so that at the end of those 90 days, you will have a confident conversation for 15 minutes. It can be really intensive, but it can also be really fun. It really just depends on what your life looks like for the next 90 days. But it can be really helpful for this particular situation where you need some strong hand-holding, some strong support, some strong accountability. The purpose is to get you to speak, and a lot of people have a lot of fun wins where even though they're afraid, even though they're busy, even though they have that loud brain, they still make it work because they have this challenge to kind of encourage them. And my final tip for speaking a foreign language with a loud brain is to, well, it's 3 things. First, you understand the root of your fears, because a lot of times the fear is the actual fear. The fear is a symptom of the fear. You understand how it's affecting your language learning, and then once you see that, you completely rework your mindset into something that will actually help you. Honestly, of all the tips that I've shared in this video, this last one is the absolute foolproof one, and I know this because it's the first lesson in my 90-day coaching program. The first lesson of 14 lessons is all about this exactly, and I have seen people completely change their body language and how they talk about themselves and their ability to learn language just from those 3 steps. If you want to know more, click the link below in the description to join us in the method for lifetime access. And if you like this video, make sure you check out these videos next. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. You might be a little bit of a mess, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. For example, you top... No. Tip number 3.